Good morning, y'all. Happy Saturday. So, every morning I run a mile, and to be honest, oh shoot, what happened? Oh, there y'all go. So I run a mile every morning, and I only do that to make my heart smile. Okay. Morning, morning. So on Saturdays, I post a workout every day too. So I post like a full workout. The full workout is usually on YouTube, Instagram. They be tripping. So I just kind of put it in a reel. But so anyway, um, this lighting looks weird. Y'all, ain't no filter, I promise. I don't know what. There you go. Okay, cocoa butter. Um, but so anyway, I'm sorry I did not introduce myself. I just assumed that y'all knew me. And I should not make that assumption. So, I am Stephanie Jackson. And I'm just on this newfound journey, I should say, and I've been on it for since July, of making sure that my heart is healthy, right? Not just my physical heart, but my soul, which is also your heart. It's your spiritual heart, your mind, your will, your emotions. Now, some people may look who have known me in the past and they like, but you've been healthy. Just because I've been an athlete, literally like all my life. But even still, there's a whole nother level of health when you understand that all the things you do, even the non-physical things, can affect your physical heart. Okay? So, I say I do stuff to make my heart smile. All right? My body may frown, but my heart is happy. But all the body want to do is sit around and eat Wingstop and watch all the movies. All the movies. Look at that sun. Sorry, y'all, it's a bit noisy. Um, the people who live around me opted against hybrids and smart cars. So their cars are really loud. It's a beautiful fall day. I mean, y'all, I know everybody be outside in the summertime, but man, I think fall is my favorite. I think so. I think fall is my favorite. It's probably my favorite season. Growing up, I used to love fall. It smelled like grass and football. So that tells you something. I'm from the South. Fall smells like grass and football. But anyway, back to the heart. Okay. So yeah, so story time. Everybody likes a good story time. So in July of this year, which was my birthday, July the 17th. Matter of fact, let's just back up. Okay. Let's back this thing up to June. Yeah, let's go to June. So in June, I started having like shortness of breath. Like I had to labor to breathe. It was the craziest thing. It felt like something was literally just sitting on my chest. That's how it felt. Like I could not understand it. Like I ain't get it. I was I was like, what the world? Like this is crazy. So I started, obviously, the first thing I'm gonna do is see like what in the natural has caused this. Like what is constricting the flow of air or constricting my oxygen. Like, what in the world? So I started thinking back, like, what did I eat? Did I eat something wrong? Have I been like inactive? And I think that was a part of it. Like, I wasn't consistently doing what I've always done for years. And that's getting out there and working out and, moving my body. But this just seemed to come all of a sudden. So I'm not a smoker, not a drinker. I hadn't had a sip of alcohol since like 2020, 2021, I think 2021. Summer 2021. So I knew it wasn't that. It wasn't like, it couldn't have been something like habitual, right? So I was like, man, what is going on? So it just got worse. It got worse and worse. And I went down to visit my family in Louisiana and Mississippi for the 4th of July. And then my mom had a retirement party, so I went to that. That was like end of June, 4th of July. And man, I was just gasping. Like, it felt like, I just kept saying it felt like that my chest was congested or something. And I just wasn't breathing correctly. I wasn't breathing right. Like, it was no natural reason why my breathing was constricted. And so I was like, man, what is happening? So then when there is no natural explanation, then you move over to the spiritual. Like, what is happening now? Some people be like, they don't believe in all that. And here's the thing. The truth never needs you to believe it, right? So people say, your truth, my truth. We don't own truth. We are very wicked, very fallible humans. And so the truth is not naturally in us. Now, we have facts. Facts can change though, right? There are some true facts. There are false facts. Right? And we accept facts as truth. And the thing about the truth is, the truth don't change. It's just how it is. Anyway, so shoot. So I'm like, all right, this thing gotta be spiritual. Okay? So one day I was sitting on the couch and I was talking to my mom. And now I had gone on I was like, okay, when we were about a week out from my birthday, I had about 7 days until it was going to be my birthday. And I just decided to go on a fast to see what the heck this thing was, right? I needed to break it, needed to be broken, because this thing felt like it was trying to kill me. And truth be told, it was. So I went on a 7-day fast. The first 3 days, I dry fasted. Okay. No food, no water really. What I did was I started drinking. I got these, I found this book, this research book that had, and it wasn't witchcraft and all that. It ain't all that Dr. Sebi stuff. But I found this book where these researchers had researched the effects of these herbs on the human body and human conditions, right? So one thing is that God has put many remedies in the earth, but none of them replace him as healer, right? So if this thing was just something natural, then it can be undone in the natural. That's the thing about natural things. If you did it in the natural, you can undo it in the natural, right? But if it's spiritual, ain't no doctor in the world, no matter how good they are, gonna help. Okay. So I had gotten this herbal book from my aunt. I'll be sifting through her books, right? You know, you got that rich auntie. So she let me sift through her books. And I found it. I was like, oh, God. Okay, Holy Spirit, this is a godsend. Right? And so I got that. And I just kept hearing hypotension. I didn't know what I was dealing with. I just knew that I would lack energy. And it was hard to breathe. And the like. And so I just kept hearing hypotension. Okay. And so I know that to be Holy Spirit. This thing is talking. So I know that to be Holy Spirit. And I was like, okay, hypotension. So you hear a lot about hypertension, right? The hypertension one is sexier, and they got all these things online about it. All the doctors and heart people will tell you about hypertension, but they don't say a whole lot about hypotension, which is low blood pressure, right? They tell you to stay away from salt and all of these things. But when you have hypotension, then that means that the blood pressure against the walls of your artery is not pressurizing high enough. Okay. So that's what was happening with me. This is back in July. And so I was like, man, how in the world does this happen? Right? Like, how do you lose blood pressure? Because I'm from the deep south. I'm from Louisiana and Mississippi. And all we've ever heard was hypertension. You're eating too many hog maws, right? You eating too much chitlins. You put too much hot sauce. You put too much table salt on everything. And people just out here with hypertension, not hypotension. So I was in new territory. So when I heard hypotension, I had felt so low. I was like, man, my aunt gave me her blood pressure thing. And I said, man, let me go ahead and check my blood pressure. So I checked it. And it was like a 90, the top number, and I'll tell y'all about that. The top number was like 90, 92. The bottom number was 60 or 70, one of those. And that was way too low. So the top number when you're doing blood pressure is your systolic. Systolic means, I bind you in the name of Jesus. Look at this. Look at that. Just demonic. Anyway, systolic means the pressure of your blood against the walls of your arteries during your active heartbeat. Okay. Diastolic is the pressure of your blood against the walls of your artery between beats. So at rest, when your heart's at rest. Okay. So that top number, as your heart is beating actively, that top number should be somewhere around 120. Okay. Anything below 100 is low. All right. You can see anywhere between 105, 120, sometimes, like, depending on if you're resting, that'd be normal. I think when you get over into like 136, 139, something like that, that's high. But I was at a 92 or something, which is way too low, like super low. And so I was like, okay, what I need to do? All I've ever known to do is just go exercise. So I went with my aunt to the gym. We went on a walk. Sorry about that. And we went on a walk, and it's giving Maxwell the cat. Anyway, see, I'll be getting distracted sometimes. Anywho, so we went on a walk, and I felt a little bit better, but I knew I still had a road ahead of me, because I was like, dang, man, What is this? I'm not used to health problems. I will never be used to health problems because I don't have them. Right. So I needed to figure this thing out. So, man, I for the 4th of July, I was just kind of trying to be business as usual, but it was terrible. Like, I couldn't sleep. And if you ever know me, you would know that I sleep good. Like, I've never had an issue with sleeping. Ever. Never had an issue with sleeping. And so I was like, man, this ain't right, bruh. So for like 3 days, I couldn't sleep at all. I just couldn't sleep. And I just didn't know if, to be honest, I couldn't breathe. And I'm sure you say, like, why didn't you just go to the doctor, this and that? And I just didn't feel like I needed to go in that moment. Just, I know all the stuff I'm describing to you. I just felt like in that moment, I didn't really need a doctor. But anyway, we gonna keep it going, right? I'm gonna tell you. Never went to the doctor, spoilers. All right, so I get back home out here, out east, and I'm sitting on my couch. Now I'm fasting. This is what, first 3 days I did dry. And then the next 4 days, this is leading up to my birthday, I just did raw. So I fasted till about 6. I did raw. The only thing I was drinking was water and the herb teas that I will make. So I went and researched the herbs in the book, hypotension, and I also was having gastrointestinal issues. It's crazy. This stuff was just, it felt like it was just piling up. And so I was like, okay. So I did that, and I had like two herbal teas I was drinking. And y'all, I was just getting the herbs and boiling them. And I was putting them in, I did the strainer. And it was so bitter and so disgusting. Very disgusting. So anyway, so I did that. And I was like, all right, let's see what we got. So this is probably day, let's see, 2, maybe day 2 or day 3 of like the fasting or dry fasting. So for 3 days I did the dry fast, and then yeah, 3 days dry fast, and then 4 days just raw after 6. Anyway, during that fast, during that time, I was talking to my mom, okay? And she's telling me, I don't know how we got on this, but she started telling me the story of, she started telling me the story of, she telling me the story about, her granddad, my grandmother's dad, okay? So she starts talking to me about him. Now, he was a moonshiner, y'all. He was an entrepreneur. He was a moonshiner. And listen, y'all, that man was selling moonshine to the cops, but this was back in the day when the feds was bearing down on the moonshiners, which is just such a wild story. I mean, y'all, the story is so freaking wild. It's crazy. But anyway, he was a moonshiner. Matter of fact, when the feds came to town, they was from this town called Greenville, Mississippi. The Queen City, okay? If y'all know, y'all from Mississippi, y'all know what I'm talking about. Greenville, special place, okay? But so anyway, he ended up in the hospital. He suffered a massive heart attack, stroke, that sort of thing. Ended up in the hospital. And so back in those days, when somebody died, they rang the bell, okay? So the town rang the bell. That's what they would do whenever somebody would die. They would ring the bell. If you ever heard that book, For Whom the Bell Tolls, that's what they talking about when somebody die. So small towns would always ring the bell. And so he was in the hospital after he had like a massive heart attack stroke. And my grandmother's mother, they heard the bell ring in the town. And so my grandmother's mother was told my grandmother, this when my grandmother was a little girl, was like, hey, go see about your dad. Right? Because we know he just had a stroke. He was in the hospital. He had a massive heart attack. You know, that sort of thing. And reluctantly, my grandmother went and confirmed that her dad indeed had died. And so my grandmother's mom, when she heard about it, she took to the bed. Now, they weren't together. As a matter of fact, my great grandfather, Mr. Harrell was his name, he had already remarried. But you know, back in their days, they loved hard. They loved each other hard. So anyway, she took to the bed after hearing that my great grandfather, Mr. Harrell, had died. Now this is my grandmother's mother, okay? They still loved each other very much. So she took to the bed and never came back out. Some hours later, her heart failed her. She literally died. It is a medical fact to die of a broken heart. Like her heart failed. Literally, her heart failed her. And so I was like, what the heck? So these were crazy. Stories that you only see on like movies or something. And I was like, dang, bro, what the heck? So my great grandfather died of a massive heart attack, stroke. My great grandmother, her heart failed her. She died of a broken heart. Hours later, her heart failed her. Now my grandmother's oldest sister, who was her favorite person in the entire world, I remember, she had a stroke, and her brain, she had bleeding on the brain, and she died. I will never forget my grandmother screaming through the house, begging God not to take her. And you know, and I remember her being on the phone with one of her friends saying she don't think God let her sister in. That's got to be the worst thing ever. But so she died, stroke, bleed on the brain. My grandmother, so this is my grandmother now, that's number 4. My grandmother, she had 2 open heart surgeries. She had hay fever as a child. She had 2 open heart surgeries. And she had, I would hear this ticking in her. Like, as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, she got a bomb in her chest. But no, I would hear this ticking in her chest. And it was a pacemaker. She had a pacemaker in her heart. She also had a pig valve. One of her valves was, it had ruptured. It had ruptured. So she had a pig valve. So I was like, what the heck? So she had heart issues, right? 4. And then, late last year, this was about a year ago. Yeah, this was about a year ago. My mom had a stroke. Now, it wasn't a massive stroke. They said it was a mild stroke, but nothing about a stroke is mild. I don't know. Thank God that for his healing and his mercy, right? And so I sat down on the floor at this point, just thinking about all this. And this is Holy Spirit. He's just like, you know, sometimes we could just be such. I seen this movie and I didn't watch it, but I think it's got like Jenny McCarthy in it, and it says God's favorite idiot. I'm sure it was funny. I didn't see it, but I feel like I was feeling like that title. And all I heard was ding dong, ding ding, it's a curse. In that moment, Holy Spirit could have called me an idiot, and I would have been like, okay, you're right. It was a curse. It was a freaking curse, right? And so I was like, what in the world? So immediately I grabbed this book by Reverend James Solomon. Holy Spirit tell me to go grab it. So I went to my desk. I grabbed this book called Deliverance from Demonic Covenants and Curses. I use this book not for leisure because it's that thing powerful. He has prayers in the back, and so I grabbed the book and I was like, okay, let me get these prayers. So I grabbed the book, I got the prayers, and I use them as like just a rubric. And then obviously the main thing is God's word. So in Deuteronomy 27 and also 28, well 27, he gives you a laundry list of like curses and transgressions against him, and then curses that he would levy on the bloodline to the third and fourth generation. Now I counted, y'all, because I might not be good at math, but I can count to four. And so I said, okay, Mr. Harold, Miss Ruth, my grandmother's mama, my grandmother, that's one generation. My grandmother and her sister, two generations. My mama, three generations. I'm the fourth generation. What the heck? I said, me? How does touch me? We gonna get to that. So I was like, what the heck? I'm the fourth generation. So I grabbed the book. I went to the prayers that just really was a really good rubric to start with. And I opened the Bible to Deuteronomy 27, and I just went through repenting for everything. Like it's a whole list. Like really the Bible a cheat code, man. Y'all tripping if y'all ain't reading it and following it. So I just went through everything. Literally. I went through everything. Just a whole list of everything. And I repented. For me, I repented. Leviticus 26:40 lets you repent for your ancestors, which is such a cheat code because that's how a lot of these curses get in anyway, right? Somebody 500 years before you did something and nobody saw it, and nobody understood enough to break it. And so here you are in 2024. Okay, so y'all, I wore that thing out. And I was like, dang, man, it's a curse. And so, this thing was trying to take me out, y'all. There was no physical reason why I was having heart issues or even digestive issues at all. No reason. None. Zero. But there was in the spirit a curse. So I broke it. I broke these curses. And my family honestly, when I used to be hearing about all the stuff and these curses and stuff, I was just going down the list saying, yep, my family did that, boom, did that, yep, did that twice, boom, did that 3 times. So I was like, man, what was y'all doing back in the day? Just trying to put us over in the curses? What the heck? So anyway, I broke the curses, right? So boom, the legal right is broken. And these things have been in the bloodline for at least 4 generations that I know of. So it's not trying to go, sometimes you just gotta keep hitting that thing. He said in Zechariah, is my word not like as a fire, like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. ETH means something continual. So you just keep breaking, keep breaking, keep breaking, keep breaking, right? You just keep breaking the rock in pieces. And so I did do that. I did do that prayer, and I didn't just leave it alone, right? I didn't just say, okay, curse is broken, go back to my regular life. No. Anything that came up, I was speaking the word or I was repenting, right? You got to. Because when you sin, you give it the. So that's what I did. And so when it got closer to my birthday, this is the crazy part, y'all. When it got closer to my birthday, I This was the 16th, July 16th. My birthday was gonna be at midnight. When the clock hit midnight, it's gonna be my birthday. And so I just started feeling worse and worse. Right? Yes, the legal right was broken. This thing didn't want to go anywhere. This thing didn't want to let me go. Definitely didn't want to let my bloodline go, because it was like, hey, I done had y'all this long and you got the nerve to break. What you doing? So I man, I just remember being led to just text one person to say, hey, pray me over until my birthday. Now, I don't know if that person prayed. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I just felt led to do it. But anyway, I did that. And it was about 11 p.m., 11 something. Yeah, about 11 something at night. And my birthday was like a little bit closer to coming. So the closer we got to midnight, y'all, the closer we got to midnight, the worse this thing got. I mean, the closer we got to midnight, the worse it got. And so I was sitting on my couch at first, and then I was contemplating. It was so bad that I was like, man, do I need to go to the hospital? Like, what the heck? And now that I know it's a curse, like, what's the hospital going to do about it? Okay, some things in the natural, we think there's natural manifestations of things, but the doctors aren't equipped to handle a curse at all. So the closer we got to midnight, the worse it got. Like, my heart just got, that's right. How you doing? That's right, woman of God. This is your sign to go on the run. Okay, so the closer we got to midnight, my heart is beating faster and faster. Now, I'm an athlete, and I understand that my heart, when I'm training and stuff, I can get up to 180, 190 beats per minute. That's 170, I know. But I'm sitting on the couch at this point, and it's getting closer to midnight, my birthday, and my heart is beating like I could hear it. It was so bad I could hear it. So what the enemy was trying to do was, he wanted to kill me before midnight, y'all. Like, this is my birthday. It was something that I was going to step into in this year of life. Something I was going to bring my bloodline over into that he didn't want. So, like I said, I was the fourth generation of a curse that had been levied against my family for God knows how long. But I can only recount back to my great-grandfather, right? Only by the mercies of God. So, anyway, we get over closer to midnight. All I can do now is just lay on the ground prostrate. I'm just prostrate before the Lord. And I go into tongues, and my heart is beating so fast that as I lay on the ground, my chest is touching the floor and coming back up. Touching the floor and coming back up. Touching the floor and coming back up. Like, you know them cartoons when they in love with somebody and they had a heart that come out like this? That's how it was. That's how it was. And so I was like, man, it's either God is going to be God, either he going to heal me, either I'm going to trust him to take this thing away, because I broke the curse, right? I broke the curse. Or they going to find a body. Or they going to find a body. It was, at some point you have to be stubborn with your faith. Like, we be stubborn about everything else. At some point you just got to be stubborn with your faith. So I laid there. And I mean, I'm going into tongues, and these tongues, it's no longer me now, because I started hearing sounds coming from my mouth that I ain't never heard in my life. Stuff I ain't even know, like it was another voice praying through me. And I know Holy Spirit just took over, because best friend be doing it, okay? Anyway, so I'm laying on the ground. The closer we get to midnight, man, it's just going. I'm probably over 200 beats per minute. I remember watching that Wolverine movie, and they was making him into Wolverine, and he got over 200 beats per minute. So I was like, man, God, do it. You got to do it. So I'm in tongues, and all of a sudden, my tongue just stops. And now I'm in the South, y'all. If you ever been in the South, you can hear what we call cicadas. Okay, when they're mating, it's super loud. And so I used to leave my balcony door open my air unit is really loud too. So I'll even when I was in tongues, I could hear the cicadas and I could hear my air unit, right? And so these things were loud. The cicadas are just obnoxiously loud when they're mating, right? It sounds like they're mating in your living room if you ever leave your door open. So my door was open. All of a sudden, everything stopped. I couldn't hear the cicadas no more. I couldn't hear my air unit anymore. Heck, I couldn't even feel the ground under me because I was laying down on the ground. I couldn't feel it no more. And I was like, what is this? And then I felt something enter the room. A presence came in the room. Now, if you're familiar with somebody, when they walk in the room. I know when my sister walk in the room. Matter of fact, I know when one of my family dogs walk in the room because they have like different shuffles, right? When you're familiar with somebody, you know when they come in the room, they can't even sneak up on you. So this presence, everything stopped when this presence walked in. No more cicadas. Heck, the air unit stopped coming, went straight off. The floor under me, I couldn't feel it anymore, right? And so I knew this was God. There was no fear, like, when something evil, you could feel it. Yeah, the hair on the back of your neck stand up. So I knew it was him. And I'm just so human and so ghetto in this moment. I said this to myself. I said, I'm not Daniel. I don't want to see this. Don't tap me on my shoulder. Do what you got to do. If you came here for me, that's fine. But do what you got to do. It was so ghetto. Like, some people, they be like, and I looked and the Lord said this to me. And I'm in my very human moment, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I said, I don't want to see it. Don't tap me on my shoulder. I don't want. Exactly. LOL is right. Because, baby, I was like, I don't want to see this. Okay, whatever you got to do, here I am. Here I am. So he reached into my chest and pulled the blockage out. Like I'm laying on my chest, but he reached. I mean, he's God. He can do what he wants. He made this body, right? Why not reach through it? He's a spirit. Okay, so he reached through my body, through my chest, pulled the blockage out, and I only knew that the blockage was out because I remember taking this deep breath, and there was nothing there. Before my chest was constricted, I couldn't even take a deep breath. It was all short breaths, and so I said like that, and I laid there, and it was like a kid. Morning. It was like a kid. I felt like a kid, like just laying, and you know how you used to lay in your daddy's arms or your mom's arms, and you just felt like the safest place. So just for this moment, I don't know how much time had passed, y'all. I was just laying there, like it was just nothing but peace. I was literally just laying there while my daddy held me. I had no, just nothing. It was just peace. Like man, I can't even describe to you the peace and quiet that I can't describe it. It was still. It was very still. Nothing was moving. And then I knew when he left because the cicadas, I heard them again. Them loud cicadas started back. Then the air unit came back on, and I laid there a little bit more, and I got up and looked around. And I said, did that just happen? And so I jumped around and just went into this wild praise, this wild worship. And so one thing I said, okay, God, you literally gave me a new heart. The very next day, I just started running. Just 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile. But I said, you did your thing. You gave me this new heart. Now it's it's on me to do the natural things to keep this thing up, right? I think a lot of times people get healing and then they lose the healing because one, they get over an unbelief. Two, they start doing things against their healing, right? Like we live in a very natural world, and just because God is God does not now mean that we can just relinquish our own responsibility as people, right? We're humans, okay? Now, if I straightway went and just started eating whatever and eating all the processed sugars, eating all the greasy meats and all that, then I would have been back in the same situation. I would have invited, the heart issues. I would have invited these things back. And so what I did, the very first thing I did, and I just continue to do this, I took out meat out of my diet. These are natural things, okay? I took meat out of my diet. I stopped using. I've never been a big oil like vegetable oil. I wasn't using that no way. I still stuck to olive oil and like grapeseed oil, but I took meat out. I stopped frying things, so I started eating like fried tofu. But that stuff, it'll collect cholesterol, y'all. It raises cholesterol. So I went into like, what do I need to eat? So I took starches out. These are 3 things I took out of my diet, okay? Meat, starches, and refined sugars. 3 things. I'm telling you, those are 3 things that are no. So I took those 3 things out of my diet, and I was just eating fruits, veggies, just these huge salads. And it was crazy because the GI issue was so bad at one point. I tried to make some beans. I couldn't even eat beans. But I'm good now, but I couldn't, right? And as far as the GI issues, I went and got, I remember my grandmother used to eat this sauerkraut. Now it's a German thing, and it's fermented vegetables and stuff. One thing about fermented vegetables is that they give you they produce the good bacteria in your stomach for digestion. And also fiber, which is the prebiotic, is food for those really good bacteria. Okay, somebody, what you say? What consists of starches, and did you also? Okay, so starches are your pastas, your rices, right? Potatoes, those are the main starches. So you want to stay away from those. Okay, bread, stay away from it. Now, Ezekiel bread is made of seeds, so you can have the Ezekiel bread. But let's just be honest, man. Ezekiel bread ain't as good as like the real stuff. You know what I'm saying? But, to each his own. And then, you know what? The best source of protein is fish. Now, I'm from Louisiana and I'm from Mississippi. Louisiana is the capital of seafood. Mississippi is the capital of catfish. I don't eat either one. So I didn't take those out of my diet. I just never had them in there. Okay. But salmon or salmon, however you want to say it, and either way, is a great source of protein, no cholesterol, very great omega 3s. Okay. So you want to do that. And what else? A lot of water. So to this day, so that was July. I actually took meat out July. Now I was real ghetto July the 4th, and I had the nerve with all the stuff I was dealing with to be the one to say, hey y'all, I'm gonna make the potato salad. Terrible. And I ate some of it. It was good. I'm not a big potato salad person, but I like it when I make it. Anyway, so I did that. Now complex carbs, like sweet potatoes and oats, steel cut oats, is amazing. You can eat that. That's great. Honey, don't run out, but honey actually lowers cholesterol. So why am I talking about cholesterol? Is it because cholesterol is too much cholesterol is the enemy of your heart, your cardiovascular, and your respiratory system. You can't have too much cholesterol because it'll clog up the arteries, right? Your circulatory system, it'll stop blood flow. And I in all my research and this stuff, I realized that the liver actually makes the cholesterol that you need to sustain life. The liver, right? So when you think about eating meat, And as much meat as we eat, and I ain't against meat. I love it, baby. I will be the first to order you and me a 10-piece from Wingstop, fried hard. Okay? No ranch, no blue cheese on the side. Put me 3 sides a mile. Okay? Half mile, half lemon pepper. That's been my order for years. Okay? As a matter of fact, what really made me say, hey, I need to get my numbers down and get healthy is because I wanted some Wingstop. All right? And so while you see me working out and doing all this, it's probably not as noble as you think it is. I'm here so I can go eat some Wingstop. Okay? I'll be sitting on YouTube salivating over all the shorts, all the food shorts. But anyway, I digress. So yes, if you really want to get cholesterol down really quickly, take meat out. Take starches out. Take sugars out. Take processed sugars out. Now, honey is great. Get you some raw honey. Because honey, according to a study they did, actually lowers cholesterol, right? Processed sugar raises cholesterol. God knew what he was doing. Okay? Honey lowers cholesterol, processed sugar raises. So I was looking at this study, and I started eating this. I got addicted to pho. So pho is just this amazing Vietnamese dish with starches and like a broth that they make and raw veggies you can put in it. They have their own like rice noodles. It's so good. And then I discovered fried tofu. Y'all, I was eating this stuff like every day. And I went back because every 2 weeks I go get blood work done. So I went back and I was looking at my levels, and my levels started going down drastically. But when I started eating pho and fried tofu and stuff, my cholesterol number shot up. It was crazy. Did I stop eating it? Yeah. And then I started back. And guess what my cholesterol levels is? Shot up again. So I stopped eating it. And instead, I got my own protein, and I began to pan fry my own protein. But they have this sauce called hoisin sauce. So hoisin sauce is kind of a thick, it's almost like honey and soy sauce had a baby sort of thing. It's got a lot of sugar in it, but this is all processed sugar. So I let go of the starches and stuff, and I was just eating fruits and veggies. And what I noticed is when I went back to get my blood work done, the cholesterol level moved up just a bit. I said, what is this? So I read a study that said that sugar, processed sugar, in the study boosted overall cholesterol minimally, and bad cholesterol, which is LDL. So the good stuff, if you ever go get a lipid panel done, is the high density lipoproteins. The HDL is good. You need that. It's really good. The LDL, the low density cholesterol, is bad. You don't want too much of that. So what sugar does is it raises your overall cholesterol, lowers the good stuff, and raises the bad stuff. So we people often think about salt when they're talking about heart problems and heart issues. They're like, hey, let go of the salt. Really, sugar is flying under the radar, y'all. It's the processed sugar. Okay? The salt, yeah, for hypertension. Now, if you have hypotension, which is low blood pressure, you can't listen to all the kind of sexy heart stuff that says let go of the salt, because you need sodium. Okay? When my blood pressure would drop, I would take some Celtic salt, just like a pinch of Celtic salt, and put it on my tongue and drink some water with it. And immediately it'll go back up. Eat like that. Okay? So you really have to understand your own body, right? Now, this is not me going to the doctor. After God supernaturally healed my heart, I didn't go to the doctor. I looked up what post-op, so I just treat my body like it's post-op, because it really is a post-op, right? One day I looked up what they tell, what the diet they give patients after heart surgeries, and the first thing I saw was some kind of meat or protein. I was like, man, no, like, you starting off wrong. Why would you tell them to go eat meat? No, that's counterproductive to what you just, to the surgery you just performed. Let your liver produce all the cholesterol you need. No, it's crazy. Well, so a lot of times the doctors, because they have been trained in a certain, in the medical system, unless they think outside of that, they're just going to just kind of give you a checklist of what they were told, right, to give it to you. Then you got big pharma, which is a Greek word for witchcraft, ain't it? Let me look that up. I heard that too many times. Pharmacia is apparently, somebody looked it up, the Greek word for witchcraft. But anyway, so yeah, that is my heart story. I really hope this blessed somebody. I'm gonna have to come back on. I usually be on YouTube, y'all, because Instagram be tripping. But I'm gonna come back on and tell y'all how I even became a candidate for this curse, which is just so ghetto. It was so good. Hey man, I'm glad this blessed you. Cause my girl, you be out there, okay? Baby, you be getting it. Um, but so y'all have a very blessed Saturday. And also stop shopping at the grocery store for your produce. Either grow it yourself or find a farmer's market. Thank me later. So God bless y'all. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Okay? Peace.